This award lets me know that
good morning, bonjour, comment ça va? Et toi? Ça va très bien. Ni hao, hola, bienvenue, wan ying, bienvenita, bienvenito, namaste. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemmological storyteller. And each and every week, I get the magnificent opportunity to take you on an adventure. The places you've never been before, to hear stories you've never heard before. Each week, I take the art, science, history, magic, gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry, and I put them all together into a story. What I've discovered over the year, and I realize more and more each and every day, is that many of the same characteristics, the same attributes, the same traits that we so highly value in gemstones and precious metals, we can find those same qualities in people. So what I do each week is I take those gem stories and use them as a template, as an inception point, as a bridge to help people, to empower people, oftentimes to remind people to take time to discover the value of your own story, who you are, and how your life and your energy and what you do interacts with. I'm back. As most of you know, I've been in France for quite some time. It has been a fantastic experience. I told you in some of my early posts, I was there to play a championship of a game, a French game called pétanque. And I wound up literally playing in 7 different cities. And it was a life-changing event. But also what was going on, or after I was playing my championships, was the Olympics. And I had an opportunity to not only see it being developed, but also see how it got a deeper meaning out the whole thing. And I want to share it with you. 7 years, no, that's so 2020, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I had an opportunity to be a part. I was in France with a school. This is when I was working for a company called Seagull Institute. And what we would do is take French students, mostly graduate school students. Normally, we would take French students from France, bring them to the United States. But this year, this was the first year we ever did it. We took American students to France, and we saw a whole lot of Fortune 50 companies. I got a chance to speak at Chanel, all kinds of things. But one of the best parts of that trip is we got a chance to go to where they were planning the Olympics. The Olympics that's going on right now. 4 years ago, I was part of, or at least saw part of the planning of the Olympics. And we were there. This is with the young lady who gave us the whole tour of it. And first of all, I was excited just to even be there, just to even be talking about the Olympics happening in a city that I knew about. And I was then, and she was talking about all the things that was going to happen, all the different changes. We saw there I am right there. We saw the blueprints of what was happening, just all the massive planning that was going on. And then she started going on talking about all the athletes, the different athletes, the countries. I didn't know they were still negotiating who was going to be part of the different type of events. I wasn't even playing pétanque at that point in time, but pétanque was one of the sports that were jockeying for position, jockeying to get on. But what got me about her presentation, and when she said it, and it really manifests now that I actually saw the Olympics, was when she started talking about all the athletes and all the different countries that they came from. And I remember talking to her, and she was asking me, here's the cup. In fact, I still have this cup right here. This was the first cup, one of the original cups that came out of that. What this was June 23rd, when they were talking about it, the Place Le Conte, just the whole concept. So here's the cup that was right here. It's a heirloom, or at least a collector's item. But the thing that got me about it was just the planning. What made me think about it was when she asked me what I did. I told her that I was a gemmological storyteller, and she said, "Oh, that's interesting." And then when we started talking about the athletes and all the different events, I said to her, I said, "You know what you have?" I said, "You know what you make me think of when you're as you're describing all the athletes and all the talents and all the gifts they have?" She said, "What's that?" I said, it kind of reminds me of a jewelry box." So I entitled today, "The Olympics is the greatest jewelry box in the world." And I want you to take a second, take a few moments to think about that. Every week on this show, what do I say? What is the main thing that I'm trying to bring together? I say each week, even in my opening, that there's a connection between gemstones and people. There's a connection between gemstones and people that goes on far more than just looking at it and liking it. I told you again in my opening that there are traits, there are characteristics, there are attributes of every type of gemstone, all of them, that relate to a human characteristic in one way or another. And I've been doing this for this is the 4th year now that the Gem Hunter show has been on the air. And again, thank you so much for all of you who have been with me from the beginning. Again, thank you, Barbara Beckley. Barbara Beckley was the one who started this. She's my producer, and I thank her all the time for her patience, her motivation, all the things that she has done. But that's the key, the crux, the main mission of this program is to get you to understand that the same things that you see in gemstones are inside of you, inside of all of us. And the only difference between gemstones is us, other than the fact that one is living, one is not. I got that. But the concepts are the same. And if the concepts are the same, or at least very similar, then you should be able to see the same value that you put into a ruby, an emerald, a diamond, a sunstone, a topaz, whatever type of gemstone that you like, that's your birthstone, that someone gave you, those characteristics that you love are inside of you. So if you say, or you can understand that when I say that a gemstone and people are very much alike, there's a similarity to the molecular level of gemstones and people, then what we have when we have the Olympics is basically a collection of gemstones. We have a collection of gemstones that come together all in one place. And where do you normally find, other than a jewelry store, where do you find a collection of gemstones? Even more than a jewelry store, because a jewelry store, they're just laying there static. With these gemstones, you're actually, meaning the athlete, you're actually seeing them work. So that's what made me think of a jewelry box. This is the most expensive jewelry box in the world. As you see, all that white material, that's diamonds. Those are diamonds, rubies. So I think it's like $1 million for this jewelry box. And that's what you have when you're talking about the Olympics. You're literally talking about a place, a city, a country where all the athletes in the world are coming together. They're coming together in one place to be experienced by you, by all of us, by the world. It is the world's greatest. If people are gemstones, then what you have with the Olympics is the greatest jewelry box in the world. All the different, think about it. That's what you have. On the opening night of the Olympics was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I know some people had problems with it. You know, there was the whole thing, the religious, which totally went over my head. Well, it went over my head because I'm aware of the history of France. And one of the things you have to understand about France was back in the 16th, 17th century, France was decadent. I mean, literally, I have a book here somewhere that talks about the sexual revolution of the world in many places, in many cases, started with France. So the things that you saw in the opening ceremony was really an ode to the history of France. And a lot of people missed it. A lot of people missed like that beautiful horse, that silver horse, mechanical robot horse that they had going down the Seine River. Even the commentator he commented on it, but he didn't understand that was the spirit of the river. That was the spirit of the Seine River. You have to understand that France, Paris, is several thousand years old. There were people living there before the Romans came, the Parisi. That's why it's called Paris. And that little island that sits in the Seine River, that's where Paris started. Paris grew from that little island. So the horse represented the goddess of the river. That's what you saw. When they, at the end of the ceremony, when they lit the torch on the balloon, and this is why telling stories is so important. The commentator talked about how 200 years earlier, two French brothers, lit their first balloon, hot air balloon, right there in the gardens of the Tuileries. And what he didn't even say his names, the two brothers' name. They're called the Montgolfier brothers. And what got me was here was this gorgeous hot air balloon, the Olympic torch going up in a completely different way. No one has ever seen the flame of the Olympics start from a hot air balloon. And the commentator said nothing. He said about the two brothers, he said it was French, that it was there, this stuff, but he didn't realize, and I don't think he let the people understand that the start of aviation, the beginning of aviation, the first time man officially had a sustained flight wasn't the Wright brothers, it was the Montgolfier brothers. It happened right there. So going back to just a treasure chest, think about what I want you to start think about during the show is think about every time you look at a jewelry box, you don't know what's in it. You don't know. You just look at the box, and the box has this something. You assume that something that pretty, that intricate, that beautiful has something of value in it. So that's the first thing you have to understand, that the Olympics, just the fact that it's the Olympics, already had people of value. You valued them when they was coming down the river, the Seine River, in the boats. You were showcasing different gemstones. How can I make that analogy? Because what is a gemstone? What is a gemstone? A gemstone is a type of material. And we, over the years that we've been doing this, gemstones are made out of many of the things that we are made out of. What do I always say? A gemstone is rare. Before we even get to jewel, just look at this jewelry box. In this jewelry box, you would expect something beautiful, something unique. I tell you all the time, the attributes of jewelry has to be rare, it has to be durable, it has to have beauty, and it has to be desirable. That's what a gemstone is. And that's what all the athletes that were there participating, that's what they were. They were being valued as representatives of their company, of their country. So the jewelry box in this situation was Paris. You had a jewelry box that were thousands of years old coming together to celebrate the dreams of hundreds, thousands of athletes all coming together for 16 days. For 16 days, the Sha'Carri Richardson has a beautiful commercial where she's running in the Nike commercial, and she's running where she's saying that when you see her, you only see 9 seconds. 9 seconds. That's all you see. You see Sha'Carri Richardson from the beginning starting line, and 9 seconds later, she's passing the finish line. But what she is there to say to in that commercial and to all of us was what you see took 9 seconds, but for her, it took a lifetime. So all I saw were those people coming down the Seine River were boats of dreams. You talk about field of dreams. They were boats of dreams. They were a city of dreams. When you open up a jewelry box, you have people's dreams in there. Go to any woman's jewelry box and she will tell you each piece. Where did she get it? How did she receive it? When's the last time she's worn it? How she feels about it? So what is that? A story. It's a story. Think about it. When you watch the Olympics, they don't just say, this is Joe Smuckatelli doing whatever he's doing. They tell you the story. They tell you the story of who that athlete was. That's what makes the Olympics the Olympics. It's not just people running around or jumping. You learn the stories. You heard the stories of people that had to sleep in their cars in order to compete. That the woman who was the shot putter who couldn't even pay her rent, but here she is at the Olympics. Or the gymnast that had 3 ACL tears. And the reason I'm not really mentioning names is because there were so many stories. And because of we learn those stories, what do I always say? When you learn someone's story, that's when you begin to understand their value. You begin to understand what it took for them to be there before they even competed in their event. People that you had no idea, you've never heard of before, but now you know them because you understand their value, you understand their stories, and because you understand their stories, you begin to understand their value. You begin to understand, no, you wasn't with them for the weeks, months, years, decades that they trained, all the hours in the pool, on a track, constantly working, practicing. But once you heard their stories, you understood their value. When you open up that jewelry box, you understand that person is basically saying, once upon a time. Once upon a time. All those athletes started out with their story started out with once upon a time. They were somewhere in the world. This is August. I don't want to get too far without saying happy birthday to all the people born in August. Okay. And what people don't realize, in fact, I didn't realize how many people don't know that Most people, when they think of August, they think of just one gemstone. They think of peridot, and it's pronounced peridot. Peridot. The T is silent. It's not peridot. It's peridot. Okay, so let's just get that. Some people, you can still say peridot dot if you want to, but the proper pronunciation is peridot. It's French. Peridot. And so when you look at peridot, and I said a little bit about this the last episode, peridot is an incredible gemstone. Not just because it's green, but how it became green. Peridot has simple elements in it, but the thing that makes peridot is iron. It's the iron inside that gives it its color. Think about how many athletes that the courage that they had to have, the courage that they had to have to compete, to be hurt, to have financial situations, to be told that you're not good enough. Oh, you can't make it. Think about all the times that they were told they were not good enough just to even make it to the team. Think about the iron. What had to go on inside of them to become Olympians before they even get on the track? Just the fact that they earned the right to be on that boat, waving the flag of their country. Think about how many of those little countries you saw. Some of those countries you may not even know where they were. And especially those the Indonesian countries or some of the little African countries that had two people, 4 athletes. You're like, wow. And there they were, proudly waving their flags because they understood. Most of them, think about, there's only so many bronze, silver, gold trophies. So 90% of them, more than 90% of them knew they weren't going to win. But they win anyhow. What can we get from that? What does it take to become peridot? Peridot, I told you, is found on almost the same level when it's created as a diamond. Just a little bit higher up on the mantle. For those of you who forgot your 8th grade science. The different levels of the earth, the mantle, that's where the heat starts. That's where the pressure begins. And diamond is extreme pressure, and peridot is a little bit higher than that. So peridot doesn't have the same hardness as a diamond. Peridot doesn't have the same scintillation, it doesn't interact with the light in the same way, but it is special in its own way. That's peridot. That's what's in your jewelry box. If peridot is your thing, that's when you open up that jewelry box, you're not opening up and seeing a green stone. You see a green stone that has been around for thousands of years. Even if it's in the ground, it still existed. And peridot comes from not only can be found in earth, it can be found in space. That's what you're opening up when you open up your jewelry box. That's what you're discovering when you turn on your television. Or if you were fortunate enough to go to France and actually see the athletes. The Olympics is the greatest jewelry box in the world. Then the second gemstone of August is spinel. Now, most people, when they think of spinel, they think of this. They think of a reddish stone. But spinel comes in like 12 other different colors. 12 other colors, and all those colors are dependent on something being inside of it. Something making it a different color. Something either you had to heat it or irradiate it to create it. I didn't even realize, I knew it, but I didn't really realize all the different colors. And when you see spinel, when you see this beautiful black stone, you're not sitting there thinking to yourself, what country does it come from? You don't know the characteristics unless you're a gemologist, unless you're a gemologist. You don't know the characteristics of that stone. You just see a beautiful black stone. That's what we do when we see the athletes at the Olympics, there's no colors. You don't say the black pole vaulter or the Asian 100-meter dash runner. You don't say that. You see a runner. You see a gymnast. You see an archer. You see a pole vaulter. When I watch the women in the pole vault championship, one was from Australia. I think the other one was from Italy. I'm not sure. No, I forgot where the other one was from, actually. I think America. And they were competing against each other. I didn't care really what country they came from. All I cared about was what they were doing. You don't ask how many of you asked where it is when you buy a gemstone? If you bought this, is still spinel, a very rare spinel. Blue spinel is very rare. If you had this, if you opened up your jewelry box and saw that piece of jewelry, you wouldn't say to yourself, well, excuse me, I like it, but where does it come from? How was it cut? How was it fashioned? You don't ask those questions. You just know that it's spinel, or you know that it's beautiful. You may not even know it's spinel. A lot of people would look at this and think it's a sapphire, but it's not. The thing that I started thinking about is, why can't we regard the same way we regard people for 16 days at the Olympics? Why can't we do that all the time? You don't, when that person gets on that starting block, when that person gets on that platform in the diving, when that person got on that horse or swam that pool, you never ask the question, other than knowing what country they come from, if you even know where that country is. You don't give value to that person. You don't assign a value to that person because that person comes from that country. No, you assign a value to that person at least everyone is equal value before they even get started. They're on the starting blocks. Why can't we do that with each other? You look at this green gemstone, you have no idea what it is. If I just showed you this, you would not say, oh, that's green spinel. You know why? Because green spinel is extremely rare as well. In fact, most of the green spinel that you see had to be created. It's synthetic. So unless you are in the jewelry industry, you wouldn't even know. You would just know it's a pretty stone. Same thing with the Olympians. All we know is that Olympian is good at volleyball. What country they come from, what race they are, really almost male or female, doesn't make a difference. This is still spinel. This is the second birthstone of August. Jewelry box. If you had this jewelry box, what would you expect? Look at it. Look how beautiful this jewelry box is. That's what the Olympics showed us. It showed us how beautiful. If you've never been to France before, that's what France looks like. Now there's complaints I can have. I've been to France so many times. I mean, Paris especially, that sure, they're going to give you the best light of Paris. There's a lot of things you didn't see. Paris is a city with 2.2, 2.3 million people, and now they have 15 million people there. Paris is not a big city. It's not like, it's a very old city. So a lot of the streets are narrow, transportation systems, all kinds of things. But when you saw it on TV, you just saw the Eiffel Tower and its beautiful light. Champs-Élysées, the Arc de Triomphe. And because you see that, you had the expectation for something beautiful. Just like that jewelry box. If you walked into someone's house and you saw that jewelry box sitting on their dresser, you would say, wow, what do you got inside of this? Sardonyx. Sardonyx is the third gemstone for August. Sardonyx. Most people don't. If you knew the name, and most people, and when I say that, I'm not saying, oh, well, you should know the name. How many people think of the name? You just see the gemstone. You just see the gemstone. Isn't that what we do with the Olympics? Who knew? Who knew Leon Marchand? That was the French swimmer who just, oh my God, he was incredible, absolutely incredible. All you knew was he was a swimmer that swam for the country of France. You knew, you might have known our swimmers. Of course, a lot of people know Michael Phelps and everything else, but you didn't know that France had this whole powerhouse of swimmers. You didn't know that Ireland, their first swimming happened during this Olympic. All you see is a beautiful gemstone. You don't see how many, this sardonyx has been around for 5,000 years. In fact, this was the first gemstone for the month of August. Peridot came later on. Spinel was somewhere in the middle. This was the first gemstone, the first official gemstone for August. So now people who are born in onyx or in August, be proud. Be proud. These are the gemstones that represent you. And as you begin to, and this month we will go into the stories of each gemstone to honor your birthday, to honor your birth month. But right now, all you see is a beautiful stone. You see the colors, you see the different, all that happened because of the molecular structure. Either that it's allopathic, remember that word, allopathic, something, here's a structure in it, and you had to add something to it, or here's a structure. This is the actual structure of a gemstone. So either you have this structure and you add something to it, an element that gives it its color, or you have a situation where let's use this one, where you have the thing that gives it the color, the red that you see with the green, those are what's already built inside. That's idiochromatic. That's what peridot is. Peridot is idiochromatic. It's built in. With sardonyx, you can see there are millions of different colors that can come from this. That's all you see. When you opened up that jewelry box, that's what you see. No woman on the face of the earth is going to ask, no person, I shouldn't just say women, no person on the face of the earth is going to ask, what's the molecular formula of that? You might ask where it comes from only because it's just more interesting. The thing you know is that it's beautiful. The thing that you know, should know, is that it took time. But you don't even think about that. You just see the finished result. That's what we look at with the Olympics. That's what we see. I never heard of Noah Riley before. Never Noah Riley. I forgot his last name now, but Noah. I never knew him. Teddy Riley, the greatest, the 3-time world champion of judo from France. Never heard of him. I didn't realize that rugby, I knew about rugby, but I didn't realize that there was a female rugby team. And I certainly didn't know that America had a rugby team. All you see is the beauty. Break dancing is coming up. Diving, all types of different sports. We didn't know. We just knew that here was this place called Paris, France, this jewelry box, this beautiful jewelry box. And in this beautiful jewelry box were athletes, were people, were gemstones from all over the world, all different colors and shapes and sizes and molecular structures, all coming together for 16 days. Every 4 years, this is what we do. We celebrate these courageous athletes that took their time, their effort to become what they became. That's what we do when we look at the Olympics. That's what they're. And we're going to talk more about that when we come back from the other side.
Of all the pearls on the market today are actually cultured pearls. Yeah, that's right. Natural pearls are extremely rare. So if you have one, your grandmother said that she got one from way, way back, give me a call. Discover the value of your story.
Back. Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? When I make the analogy between the Olympics in a jewelry box or gemstones in people, this is sardonyx. This is sardonyx. Beautiful gemstone. Has different characteristics, different spiritual qualities, metaphysical qualities. But until you know what it is, until you understand its story, until you understand what it does, until you understand how it interacts with light, you will never understand its value. And that's what the Olympics is celebrating. It celebrates the value. It celebrates the story, and then from that story, you get the value. It is a jewelry box. It is an incredible jewelry box that the whole world gets to open up and see. All these pieces that I'm showing you, all these beautiful, someone owns these pearls. You may not see it. You definitely don't own it. I shouldn't say definitely. If you're fortunate enough or been blessed enough to be given that, to acquire that, to have bought that, you may own that, but still, everybody doesn't have that. But we get a chance to see that. We get a chance to understand that. And if you like pearls, if pearls are your thing, and pearls are certainly my thing, then you understand, you take the time to say, oh, wow, those are Tahitian pearls. And because now you understand those pearls come from Tahiti, then your mind, your spirit, your heart begins to think, what is like in Tahiti to produce something like that? That's what the Olympics is. The Olympics is taking the world, taking the time to discover people from different places, people from different ethnic backgrounds, different religions, different shapes and sizes, and showing you we all are humans, but they can do things that we can't do. They can do things that maybe we can do if we put our minds to it. That beautiful diamond is you. Somebody in this audience is that. Somebody in this audience, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you cook, the way you do your things have those similar characteristics of a diamond. It's just that nobody knows about it, except maybe your family, but maybe you don't know what you can do. When you wear that gemstone, when you wear that gemstone and look at it, you remember. You would remember where you got that stone. I don't care what other than Alzheimer's, you're going to remember where you got that. You wouldn't say, oh, I don't know where I got this now. Those people, all those athletes, when they went out there and competed, this is their moment. This is their time. This is a peridot ring, peridot gold and diamond ring. And you see the prong setting, because a peridot is about a 6.5 as far as hardness. Remember, 10 is hard, it's 6. So it's a middle stone. It's in the middle. There's things that you can't do with a peridot that you can do with a diamond, that you can do with a ruby. Just the same with the athletes. There are different athletes that they have different body types. They have different ways of movement. And it has nothing to do with size. As Simone Biles, they say what, 12 feet, 12, 13 feet in the air. And I love the way the commentator says, well, she just did a 2.5 times summy with a double twist and a something. And I'm like, she said it like it was nothing. The spin, twist, turn, and then still land on your feet. I fall out of bed from time to time. And I have legs and arms and a body just like she does, but I can't do what she does. There's all kinds of peridot. Peridot comes from at least 8 different countries. Peridot was Cleopatra's favorite gemstone. So peridot really started in the Middle East. Knowledge of peridot. But if you didn't know that, then you would just think it's semi-precious. That's what we don't see. That's what the Olympics is about. It's an opportunity for us as human beings to show who we are in the most, I can't say basic, just show some of our characteristics, our strengths, our perseverance, our determination. You hear the stories of people who, the last time the Olympics came, Sha'Carri Richardson, when she got caught the smoking and the smoking ban, the drug ban, and she was literally missed an opportunity. Remember how you felt? Like, oh God, man, how could she do that to us? Oh man, how many of us would have quit? How many of us would have just said, I forget it, I blew my chance? Not her. Not her. In that Nike commercial, which I want to do a whole show about because so many people missed what that Nike commercial was about. That Nike commercial was absolutely one of the most beautiful commercials Nike has ever done, as far as I'm concerned. Just absolutely beautiful, because what that commercial made me think about, a lot of people said, oh, was rude and it was unsportsmanlike and all this other stuff. No. What that commercial was really about, from at least one aspect, is those are the qualities that you need to mine gemstones. Every person who has ever got on those boats in the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th century, dug and mined and all this, those, that single-mindedness, that complete focus, the part with Sha'Carri Richardson when it said, I'm never satisfied, as she's running down as the fastest woman in the world. I'm never satisfied. So then you begin to understand why she's back in 2024. Now you understand why she's back, because she's never satisfied. The person who put this necklace together, this beautiful, unbelievably valuable necklace, rubies and diamonds. They didn't just put, that's not a Lego set. That's not something they just click on. Hey, put chain number A to chain number B and just snap it on. Think about the craftsmanship that took. The time to match each gemstone. And these are natural. So it's like, how long did it take to find natural rubies that match like that coordinate, that their colors? That's what you open up every time you open up that jewelry. That's what's inside of that jewelry box. That's what's inside. When you turn on the Olympics, that's what's in. That's what that person is in your office, at your company, on the bus. All you see, the bus is the jewelry box. The office is the jewelry box. The jewels are inside you. When you open up, when you look at your house, all you're looking at is a very nice jewelry box. The jewels are inside. You're the jewel. Those, the things that it took to make you who you are as a person. The way you resonate with the light. Look at that. Look at the elegance. The shape. The way the light reflects off the facets. Someone had to cut that. Someone had to first see it. That's what the Olympics is. The Olympics is what you saw that first night was a whole bunch of what they had. 85 boats with thousands of athletes on it. And each one of those athletes were no different than a gemstone, because somebody had to find them. Someone had to discover them. Someone had to see their potential. I remember reading a story about Michael Phelps' mom. Michael Phelps got into swimming because he has ADHD. And his mother didn't know what to do with him because he had all this energy. So she kind of like threw him in the pool, not like threw him in whatever, but she enrolled him in a swimming program because she figured, let me just wear him out. You know, I mean, for parents, you know, you find anything to wear a kid out. She didn't understand that Michael Phelps' body is built for swimming. The way his ankle and his feet, there's hyperflexion between his ankle bone, his talus, and his calcaneus bone. You know, we're talking anatomy. She didn't know that. She just said to get into the pool, and he liked it. All those athletes. Think about the athletes that come from poor countries, you know, African countries, Middle Eastern countries, where they don't even have proper footwear. They just running. They're running bare feet. You know, like what? So when you give an athlete like that some shoes and a track, they're like, yeah. Think about, here's the woman from St. Lucia. St. Lucia never won a medal. Think about the courage that she had to go against a Shakari or some of the Jamaicans or people that come from multi-million dollar programs. Someone saw her. The woman from Brazil that is so awesome that she beat out Simone Biles. And even Simone Biles said, no, you know, I don't think I want to compete against her, because she sees what someone else saw. And this girl came from the hood. The favela, which is the Brazilian word for the hood. I saw that. Someone pushed her even though she had 3 anterior cruciate ligament, ACL ligament tears. 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 of them. And there she is competing in the world championship, the Olympics. Someone saw this jewel before it looked like anything like this. They saw it. The Olympics is the greatest jewelry box in the world, because when you have a jewelry box, you have gemstones and gem material and metals that someone had to see the potential of it before it became that ruby, that emerald, that sapphire. Someone had to see that. Most sapphires are heated. They're treated in order to get that color. So first you had to find it. Then you had to see, maybe with some work, maybe with some faceting, maybe with some polishing. You had to see that before it manifests. That's what you see. Someone had to see that amethyst and that gold, and someone had to not only see it, but someone had to have the foresight to not only see it, but to be willing to take it, see its beauty, see its potential, and then put it in a setting. Put it in a setting would bring out all its colors. A jewelry box. That's what the Olympics is. Jewelry box. For the rest of this week, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about every athlete, win or lose. Someone saw that before they went into that jewelry box. Someone said, you have potential to be more. To be more. Imagine for the rest of their lives, they're going to be able to say, all of them, that they tell their mothers, their fathers, and their children, and their children's children, once upon a time, I was. Once upon a time, I swam. Once upon a time, I was able to hit a volleyball or shoot a target. That's what you see. That's a jewelry box. It's a jewelry box. Maybe not the kind of jewelry box that you would buy. That's why you have the Olympics in different cities, because there's different types of jewelry boxes. So the Summer Olympics in Brazil is different than the Summer Olympics in London. It's different than the Summer Olympics in Paris. So each year for all these years, this is what, the 22nd Olympic? The Olympics started, the concept of the Olympics started in the 1800s. So all these years, you had jewelry boxes of athletes coming together, showcasing their talents, showing the world for one brief, shining moment. Think about it. How many of us work for years for 9 seconds? How many of us would work for years to get on a platform and dive that takes all of us, what, 2 seconds? Well, you know what we're going to do is we're going to help you learn how to dive. And then how long does the dive last? Oh, the dive lasts for about a second, depending on how long it takes you to hit the water. And then there's a possibility that despite that you've been doing this for all these years, there's a possibility that you won't beat anybody. How many of us would sign up? How many of us would have gotten on a ship 200, 300, 400 years ago just for the hope of finding something that looks? How many of us would be able to have enough foresight to see that out of that rough gemstone, out of that something that looked like a rock to everybody else, I could make this. I could design something that looks like this that lasts ever. We know people don't last forever, but that memory will last forever. Those people that live with Simone Biles, she forever. We'll be talking about her for years and years, forever. As long as they talk about the Olympics, they cannot talk about gymnastics without the greatest Olympian. They can't talk about swimming without talking about Michael Phelps and Leon Marchand. You can't talk about judo without talking about Terry Riley. You can't talk about so many events without talking about who they are. And that's what the Olympics. We know that there's plenty of athletes that compete and they don't look like this, but it doesn't make them any less diamonds. It doesn't make them any less ruby. It doesn't make them any less sapphires. All they know is that for all those years, they worked hard to be included in a magnificent jewelry box called the Olympics. And they're going to do whatever their technique to do, and they're going to make sure the light that's shining on them is magnificent. They're going to do, when they got into that jewelry box, when they were selected to be an Olympian, to be, they knew that this was their one, possibly only chance to be. They went to a coach or an assistant or someone, their mothers, their fathers, their uncles, saw they had to not only feel it, but they had to inspire other people to see the same thing, to see their potential, to see what they could become. That's what the Olympics. The Olympics is a chance for human beings to be valued in the same way we value you. In the same way we value something that's rare, something that is durable, something that is desirable, something that interacts with the light in such a way nobody else can do it. We put it in a beautiful jewelry box. I made this a deep jewelry box for those of you who really like, so you can put a lot of stuff in it. You want a lot of stuff in this. Look at this. Everyone is working in themselves to become. Become that diamond. Become that beautiful, beautiful diamond. That's what we're celebrating when you watch. You're watching the celebration of people coming together. You're watching gemstones, human gemstones coming together, becoming something extraordinary. So I'm gonna stop here because there's so much more that we have to cover. But I hope that for the rest of the today and the rest of the time you're watching Olympics, look at it in a different way. Look at each person that's on that starting line and realize what they took to get there. Think about every piece of jewelry, every gemstone that you've ever seen. Someone had to create that. Someone had to design that. Someone had to fashion that. Someone had to cut that. Someone had to see the potential and then take the time to make it actually become. That's what the Olympics is. The Olympics is the greatest jewelry box.